When you hear Australia, what do you think? Is it kangaroos? Hugh Jackman maybe? Or is it the wild, open Australian frontier filled with bushrangers, gold rushes, and a strong colonial control? In my last video, I explored if Red Dead could be set in the UK. So in this video, we're going down under into colonial Australia. The year is 1865. You're looking at the coast of Western Australia, a thriving British colony, and your new home. You play as Heather Reid, a young woman with luscious hair blowing in the wind, with her looks about her, but she carries a dark secret with her to this new land. Prior to stepping on the ship, Heather had murdered her husband, running away but getting caught for petty theft, which resulted in her being sent to a penal colony. However, she did not plan on staying and serving her sentence there for long, and wanted to start a new life in this frontier. Once on land, she found herself in the port city of Fremantle, a hub for anyone and everyone arriving into Western Australia. She was assigned to be a servant to the Lieutenant Governor's family, cleaning, cooking, and taking care of the children, a significant downgrade from her life back in England. However, that life was long gone, and Heather knew that from here on out, she had to fight for everything she wanted, no matter the cost. Your journey as Heather Reid will take you all over the continent, seeing Australia before it became the country it is today. When outposts were expanding and settlers had to deal with Aboriginal conflicts right on their doorstep. So without further ado, let's take a look at the map. The first of the colonies will be Western Australia, your starting point, a much less civilized colony compared to the other ones. Initially, it was a free colony, but over the past years, due to its economic struggles, it has started importing prisoners to help with the labor. The next colony you will visit on your journey will be Southern Australia, which had just recently earned the responsibility to be governed by elected officials, less than a decade ago. The biggest city you'll be able to visit will be Adelaide, which is flourishing due to the agriculture, but also because of the copper mines which surrounded it. The journey continues into New South Wales and Victoria, the colonies with the strongest economies because of the recent gold rush boom, which brought even more bushrangers to these parts. New South Wales, being the oldest of all the colonies, had grown over the last century, having Sydney become not only a major city, but a global trading post, opening up this colony to the world. With that out of the way, let me present what if Red Dead Redemption took place in Australia. Heather had been stationed at Fremantle for a few months, continuing to serve in the Bell household. After each day's work, a guard would supervise her return to the barracks, also known as a female factory, where the rest of the penal settlers were already in their bunks. Living side by side for months with other convicts, you get to know people pretty well. One of these was Margaret Pierce, a former pickpocketer who, like Heather, worked at a rich settler home. Both of them got close on the boat to Fremantle and had been inseparable, plotting on their escape to run away to the gold-filled colonies of New South Wales and Victoria. On a hot December day, Heather showed up to her place of work as usual, not attracting any suspicion to herself. When the clock hit 9, she left the Bell household and walked back. However, she never did reach the barracks. The next morning, when they checked, Heather and Margaret were both gone. But that wasn't all, as the valuables and gold from both households that they worked at also vanished. If that wasn't enough, the guards who had supervised both women back to the barracks were found shot dead in a ditch. 2 bullets for each of their domes. This started Heather on her journey of crime all over colonial Australia as she built her gang and rose to infamy. After your escape from Fremantle, you will be given your first bounty, a measly amount to what it will be later, but no joke either. Your starting camp will be a small one, with just you and Margaret, but then slowly grow as more members join and you will be able to pull off bigger jobs and create your outlaw family. As you head east, you will enter the glorious Australian outback, filled with the wild terrain that is untouched by man, where you will be able to learn more about the game's survival mechanics. This part of the game is where you will start to learn about the larger world and the factions that live in it. The first one you would have met on your arrival in Australia, being the British Crown. This faction would be the ruling authority all over the land, so make sure to either stay out of their way, like you would with the Pinkertons, or, if you got a death wish, take the fight right to them. This second chapter, however, would introduce you to the Aboriginal nations, which would be constantly present throughout the story, appearing at different times. Your first encounter would be during the first missions when resting at your camp. You'd be awoken by noises and whispers. As Heather would open her eyes, she'd see a pair of Aboriginals staring down at her. Initially spooked by this intrusion into their camp, she was surprised by their kindness as they invited her to their camp. The change of location will let the player discover the different environments in Australia, like the bush, where the Aboriginals' camp would be located. After staying with the Aboriginals, you would also start to hear tales of other bushrangers hiding out in the bush. It is your choice if you want to work alongside them or take out the competition. The missions in this chapter would include you scouting out nearby towns and settlements, doing minor con jobs on the settlers. Along the way, freeing prisoners who want to join you on your journey of crime. Depending on who you choose to join your gang, the dynamic will be different. Sort of similar to GTA 5 and who you choose for your heists, but impacting the story significantly. You'll be able to go back to Fremantle, but be aware that people will be out to look for you, so make sure to put on a disguise. As you start to get more notoriety in Western Australia, the British Crown will start to enclose on your location, and the more you explore the open world, you'll start to feel the pressure of the law. The chapter will climax when, while at the Aboriginal camp, the authorities will surround you as they realize where both your gang and the Aboriginals are encamped at, forcing you to go on the run and leave the colony of Western Australia. The year is now 1866, as Heather's gang makes their way into Southern Australia, which had just been going through a major political change, allowing the gang to slide in unnoticed and hide under the cloud of societal transition. The gang camped not too far from the coast outside of the Burra copper mines, which had been prospering, providing a lot of profit for the colony, but raw copper would be useless for the gang. What they could use, though, would be dynamite and resources to keep them going on their crime spree. By this part in the game, the Reed gang would move from just committing petty crimes and cons to daylight robbery, hindering the business of not only the settlers, but also being a major thorn in the side of the British Crown. During the gang's escape, they had taken in some new members from bushrangers. They had met two Aboriginals who had lost their home after the attack. The gang, which was firstly a group of outlaws, now became a revolutionary movement with members from all walks of life and different stories. In this chapter, the player has to face the power of carrying a movement which impacts an entire growing country. The missions that would take place will be ones where you and the gang help set free prisoners from the mines and steal valuable supplies and dynamite. This would come later in use as the gang moved from their stay near Burra to the city of Adelaide, where the gang would get their first taste of the gold rush coming from Victoria and New South Wales. With gold, of course, comes greed, and being the leader of the gang, you, as Heather, will have to deal with handling the gang members, either putting an iron fist down or indulging in the greed yourself. This will change not only the public's perception, but also the members might change their interactions with you. Margaret, who has known you since your arrival, might start getting more distant and not being seen as much at camp, and the Aboriginals would leave as they wouldn't believe in your guidance like before. This is only some of the changes that could happen depending on your choices throughout the story as you near the ending of this chapter. The last camp location for the Reed gang would be very reflective to Red Dead Redemption 2 and to the last camp in Beaver's Hollow. That's why they decide to camp in the Blue Mountain Range outside of Sydney in New South Wales, a prospering city like Melbourne, which is growing to become a modern metropolis. The patrols of Colonial Police are much more consistent in this area, and it feels as if the British Crown are around every corner. So to draw attention away, they decide to scout out the Ballarat gold mine outside of Melbourne, which had been exploding in wealth and making the colony the richest of them all. Depending on who you choose to join your gang and what actions you take, you may be seen as a hero by convicts and workers, or a complicated ally to the Aboriginals. the gang is slowly fracturing, whether it is from internal turmoil or exterior pressure, making you question if, as an outlaw, can you even choose your ending, or was it chosen from the start? The last sequence will kick off once you have finished preparing for the gold heist. You will use the dynamite that you acquired in the previous chapter to blow a bridge and have heavily armed escorts fall into the canyon and leave all the gold free to take. However, what the gang didn't take into consideration is that this would also leave them with a single escape path. The gang would get cornered only a few minutes after their escape by the backup armored convoy, who were just a few minutes behind the gold convoy. Gang members would get shot and killed, leaving only a few to escape back to the Blue Mountains. Heather would realize that with all the losses they took, the gold they have wouldn't be enough to buy freedom for the gang, but just for a few people. When arriving at the camp, everything would all fall into a squabble and chaos, as people would argue over who gets the gold, and if that wasn't enough, the British Crown would ambush the gang, leaving only one way to escape: by shooting their way out. Heather and Margaret would team up for what might be their last time to escape with a small fraction of the gold they had initially stolen. During their escape, depending on your choices throughout the game, Margaret would either get fatally wounded or reveal herself as a rat, forcing you to decide if you kill her here and now or run as fast as you can to escape everything. Heather Reid's story and destiny is in your hands. And with that, the game comes to an end. I believe that the Australian frontier is much more fitting for a Western than the UK, and has definitely a lot more potential because of its outlaw history, with figures like Ned Kelly, who were infamous and had books and films released after them. I feel like it is also a perfect opportunity to introduce a female main character to represent the several famous female outlaws, both in America and Australia, to give them some more representation. I hope all of y'all enjoyed this exploration into a new area of the Red Dead universe, which would be very exciting to see in the next game. Have a great rest of your day, and I shall see y'all later.